Sunday School friends. Thank you so much for joining me. We are going to talk today about Joseph and his brothers. Now, you may have heard this story before, but one of the reasons why we talk about certain Bible stories over and over again is because they can teach us different lessons. So in our next couple weeks, we are going to be studying Joseph and his brothers in the Old Testament in Genesis. And it's going to teach us about forgiveness and reconciliation. So let's read our Bible story next. All right, friends, so our scripture today is from Genesis chapter 37. Now, it's the whole entire chapter. And so I was able to condense it down a little bit just for us so we could save a little bit of time. So Jacob settled in the land of Canaan where his father Isaac has lived. When his son was 17 years old, his son was Joseph, he worked alongside the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah as a shepherd. One day, Joseph brought his father a bad report of his brother's work. Joseph was Jacob's favorite son, and he gave him a long robe to wear. And this robe was very special because it meant it had long sleeves, and that meant that he didn't have to work in the field like people who wore short sleeves, and his brothers wore short sleeves, so they were jealous of him. One day, Joseph dreamt that he and his brothers were binding in the field, and his brothers bowed down to him. When Joseph told his brothers about this dream, they hated him even more. Later, he told them of a dream which the sun, the moon, and 11 stars had bowed down to him. And on another day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers, who were pasturing in a pasture, their flock. When his brothers saw Joseph coming, they plotted to kill the dreamer, they called him. Now, they were going to throw him in a pit and tell him that a wild animal got him, but one of the brothers convinced them not to kill Joseph. So when Joseph reaches them, they take off his special robe and they do toss him into a pit, but a little later they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming. And the majority of the brothers agreed to sell Joseph as a slave to these traders. When they give Jacob Joseph's torn robe, which they've dipped in goat's blood to make Jacob think that Joseph had died. Meanwhile, Joseph was taken to Egypt and sold to the Pharaoh. So let's learn a little bit more about this story in our video next.
Greetings, friends. I'm Abigail. Come wonder with me. Did you know the Bible is full of stories about conflict? Conflict is when people disagree or can't get along. The awesome thing about the Bible is that it's also full of stories about reconciliation. Reconciliation is to bring peace between people who have disagreed. So if conflict is about separation, reconciliation is about coming back together. Reconciliation isn't always easy. Have you ever been in a fight with your siblings? Sometimes it can be hard to find peace. My little brother and I argue all the time about who gets to use the computer or who gets to decide what game we play for family night. It can be hard to come together after an argument. Sometimes we find peace later that same day, but other conflicts take more time to find reconciliation. In our Bible story today, we start a long journey towards reconciliation. Today, we meet Joseph and his 11 brothers. Joseph was different from his brothers. He had dreams about his brothers that he didn't understand. Joseph shared his dreams with his brothers, and they got really upset because they felt like Joseph thought he was better than them. Joseph's brothers were really jealous of him. They felt Joseph was treated special and didn't think it was fair that he didn't have to work in the fields like they did. Joseph's brothers decided they couldn't take it anymore, and they sold him away when their dad wasn't around. Wow, I can't believe they were so mad. Friends, this is the conflict part of the story. Think about it like this. You have two magnets. If they are flipped one way, they push apart from each other and they can't come together. This is the conflict. It takes work to flip the magnets another way so that they can come together. I know we want everything to be better right away, but sometimes it takes a long time for reconciliation to happen, and that's okay. We don't see Joseph and his brothers come together until later in the story. I know it's hard. You might have expected the family back together in one quick story, but we have to be patient and stay tuned to see what happens next. Now, it's your turn to wonder.
Friends, so we've learned today that reconciliation means to bring peace to when people disagree, and forgiveness is the act of letting go of any bad thoughts that you've had towards someone. Our Bible verse today helped us understand forgiveness and reconciliation, and throughout the next couple weeks we will learn more about these two things and his time in Egypt. So join us next week as we continue the story of Joseph. Bye friends, have a great week.
Somebody, I'm gonna tell somebody.